once I saw again this lady in black on the cubic stone of glass squares inside. This must be the one center I just saw once, and it was a very strange reportage. They say present by a lady that is dead, if it's true the information that I have when revealed. I did not see her on the reportage. This seems a kind of not a business tower, an exhibition or memorial, perhaps, in the best of possibilities. Strange, all things suspend on the air by the absence of floors and walls and all in glass. And because we see something on the by up on the ground, which seems shum, plumb, and liquid plumb with holes. This is an image from Exterminator, the movie. And this is also strange because at the same time that appears in Africa, monkeys, real monkeys that were attacking childs, even and peoples, by a certain bizarre fruit that I do not know, that have the same form and with holes in yellow, because humans have taken trees, too much trees off their habitat down, and they fight for food. It's expectable. This was very, very strange as I come. I see her again with a application of music, whatever, or play Google advertising, whatever. I don't know if she's a Vanderbilt or not. Then there's another Vanderbilt. I suppose I'm not even sure if it's another Vanderbilt. It appears in the campaign at the time of the second impeachment of Laden with the campaign with the, on the movies here that I have commented on. So, always this mixing of hell of everything and nothing. You never know. That they catch you in this image was mold advertising or whatever, clothes, like a premessio bacteria that was coming from the shoulder. There was people that put expressly to die. You not see on the bus stop on Martin this image. I never saw it again. It's a very strange image because this was an image this season on one center, if it's true, was an image of an exterminator with all these valves. And it was troubling for me to see this because it was like plum, shum. And I suppose I see that I did not see yesterday, today, this night, already, I don't know, 2 o'clock or 3 in the morning. Day 23, even the numbers I have just speaking the previous video that I have uploaded before one at 7 minutes after the midnight already this day. Okay, on calculations and assurance calculations for the country about ESS pensions and social welfare. And I said, how you have done these accounts, everyone check and so on, because they change everything. And the number of the day was 22, perhaps by mistake first time when I was making the title. And I corrected, I noticed 23, and when the edit was finished, because they have to connect this to internet, my criminal trick as always, because there was not connections when I do this, because they put interstitial advertising over the application and rob and whatever at the same time. Then I disconnect always. It was connected and was changed for 22, even before being encoding or during the encoding. This is the reality concerning numbers and measures of census. No one with a certain lucidity on their mind can believe on calculations or whatever done on these systems, because everything is able to be changed by what interest it is. This is very, very dangerous, because this is a concept all the way. I see, I suppose, Kate Blanchett, but I'm not even sure, because I just see I was pleased because I did not see her for my, I suppose, Cannes, the time of, before the edition of the second tsunami and check on IT did not see her. I suppose she was there, but I'm not even sure that I was pleased. I suppose speaking about this story about Sudan that is going on, your profound criminal Nazi irony pissed me off. You do it expressly to piss me off also. Perhaps there's no lack of water in Sudan. Your hypocrisy, criminal hypocrisy as Nazis goes until these points. Nothing surprised me. Why I say this? Because I'm not having altar for 60 days. Before yesterday, it appears another man, I suppose, different from the others, said, what is this? Oh, it is all the time, cross, time, about this question of Sudan, and appears another one that have present himself as with a name, more gentle way of speaking with people, and then appears, I suppose, speaking about Sudan, cries of water, like this, says, what do you want to do? Pipes if you have a fountain, if you have tubes to put them. Or move peoples, if it's possible to move peoples. And for a place where peoples, others that are there, receive it them and can receive it them. This is all. Beabá. For me, it smells in part that this is a provocation concerning the infamy situation that you maintain me in the last already 16 days, 60 days, 2 months already almost, without running water on this ag vandalism act that implies more water, name it to clean. Then this is also torture and names homicide. From the past, I remember the example of the flight bridge to Germany, when the crisis occurs after the Second World War. No one can maintain a aerial or boat bridge for many times. This was done during a certain period of time to solve this question that arises after the division of Germany and in a certain moment in Berlin, in America, solving this way. But these are transitory solutions. If you put pipes in the place, or you have a fount or whatever, or river with potable water or sea or whatever that you can desalinize, taking the salt, and if properly done and no consequences further on health and so on, you solve the problem that long term. It's impossible to maintain people that I do not know even how many, with flying bottles by plane or by boat for until when? Yeah, humans, Thracians, have solved this many centuries ago, and even in this region. As I also remember you, Egypt has made a growth that point in this region by the solutions that they come with their hair and implement on the question of water and the systems of irrigation that allows Egypt at the time, large centuries ago, to have a development on this region. Question that was on the train from the beginning, between Israel and Palestine, also the water. If true, the news at time, some large years already ago, 90% or 97% of the potable water, the water that we can use and drink to maintain life, was going to Israel, and 3% was going to Palestine. I'm not even sure if I can believe anymore on this information, even remember that it's an information that is on the table more than a decade ago in these terms. Water is fundamental for life, ladies and sirs. So we know this. We are water. Animals are water. Trees need water. Potatoes need water. Bread needs water. Everything needs water to live. And it's a basic question. It has been always in the history of humans. These come to by my side on the table saying this. When things in territories where there are conflicts during decades have these characteristics, if true, and also terrain, if the terrain in the land allows to grow fruits and bread and things like that. These are basic questions of organizing of life, human life on space and territories. If they are not solved properly, this by itself generates always the fuel to maintain confusions during decades. What are you all in this apparently stress about Sudan? It seems for me a kind of perverted Nazi irony concerning the exploitation and extermination of all my life and my family. Of this great shadow last year for 6 months on Middle Earth. Because I say at a certain point, if the images that we see in television were true, people were full of dust. As I was here obliged by these Vietnamese max in a country where we have water running on pipes for centuries. This is a real irony of Nazism in Europe also. And I say people cannot live there. We see people, black dressed, full of powder, will destroy the city or whatever. I said, this is true, or this is another city destroyed before, or whatever, another accusation of, are you mounting this in virtualization of images? You are able to do it just to maintain these circles. And I said, people were getting, apparently there was places where sacks, bags of farinha and things elementar was arriving, and we see groups of 3-4 men carrying these 50 kilos, whatever, flying away after receiving or getting one. Like saying, it's dangerous to be here, we cannot transport it in other way. And I said, these people must be moved. The last news that I have saw, I comment now, because this I did not arrive to include it in the writing of this main document last year before the atomic bomb was that what appears on the news that has been moved was the leaders of Hamas that were received, I don't even remember, but I hear of normal resort of terrorism, middle terrorism, where they say on the news online that were the heads of the Hamas. There is not a question of Hamas or not Hamas. A population are not Hamas. Not 20 or 40 or 50 persons, I don't know even. Are large amount of people and others. There's no information at the time about this. This is a Nazi hypocrisy. A Nazi hypocrisy, criminal hypocrisy. Mirror hypocrisy does he concerning this crime against me and my family and my son, because you obliged me to do works on the at the time I was repairing the room, because I have on this civilized Europe conditions where these Nazis put water inside the wall and inside the room, as I show. I'm not living in the Middle Orient, in the frontier of a desert. And I have shown you and include on these documents photos of me by the works full of powder, like I was seeing just after, by medias online of hell and destruction of Nazism all the world. People like me, full of powder, like because we see the buildings so break down. And it's logical to see them with powder. And I was in the same situation as I have showed to you all. You are fucking Nazis. Fundamental human story to... No, I don't know any civilization. There was a documentary starting yesterday with this statement. It's a true statement. Never in the history of man any civilization develops if they have no fertile land and water, because these terms are always connected. And this is an impossible situation there, without a technical solution if possible. That implies money and a certain peace to do it. We cannot do it under bombs, I suppose, which was to fertilize some parts of this region to have a share proportional to population's land and water. Because all the countries, I said this many times ago, more perhaps than 1 decade or 2 decades, there are countries around. Perhaps you can make a business with them to say, can you give us a small part of your territory near our frontiers? Mm? And perhaps they can, but the problem is these terrains in the frontiers of these countries are also rock. You never make bread on rocks, or trees or apples. It's an impossible situation. If there's no technical possibility, I suppose it's possible to put terrain working there as the terrain works and water. Do you have the conditions? Do you have the plan? Do you have the means? Do you have the will? Have you, any one of you in ONU work on this way? You want the destruction fuckers because these nourish the circles of death that maintains you in power. Circles of death and perverted Nazi growing power all around the world. You know why? By the simple reason of this. By this simple reason. I do not know, no one knows on this very hysteric campaign on Sudan now, for 2 weeks already online. What is the reality, the true reality of the problem by the component of the changing of climatic situations and other details that you put on shadow places. On shadow place until December last year in questions of returning to the nuclear tests and the eventual consequences long term of this. But this is a part of the question, eventually, because this never has been put on public opinion domain discussion and where we can listen experts and so on. Never. These kind of questions are always out of the panorama. These are the questions. Questions are problems. We have problems, we create problems, and we solve problems if we can solve problems. Sudan, I'm living in Europe, and each time that I go out of home for these last 2 months, I'm obliged to transport a lot of more kilos of the ingredients of slavery that you enslaved me for 20 years or more. Nevertheless, I was in Cabo Verde, for instance, and I have been in Africa in some places, not many, and I know what is the lack of water on life of peoples and conditions of countries and peoples. When I was in Cabo Verde shooting this documentary No Dance with Monica Lapa, still alive, with Clara Andermatt, the first thing that Monica has taught me was, because they were there already under these conditions, was to go to a shop, a Chinese shop that exists there, and I still have this vase, a small cup in metal from Republic of Vladimir that I buy there, and buy these to take bath. To do not spare water because there is no water, was only water on bidons of plastic. This is the reality covered at the time before 40 years without rain. There was already something bizarre. It's an anomalic magnetic point on the planet, as I know. But perhaps by this reason, I don't know. But nevertheless, I know a little bit what is this. But I'm not living there. I'm in Lisbon, Portugal, Europe. And I'm obliged to these conditions by a circus of death and perverted Nazi powers. Kill you all, and do it well. Kill you all at the same time for people who want to live in peace and solve problems, because life implies always solving problems. There are good ways to solve problems. Normally these results in problems well solved, And there are bad ways to do not solve problems and have more problems. Further twisted global content circulation, Nazi content circulation at all the levels. I don't know if it was Sudan that I show a lady that I have link on my blog, I kisses to you. That was a dancer, I suppose, with a kind of glass reflection, whatever, to make rain. There's this classical example that I have speak about many decades ago, not many, some decades ago, of the rainmaker. It's a psychological model, or it's a divine interpretation or theory, or whatever you want to call it. Not even go again, recall these. Rainmaker is a classical example. And she was doing this like an actress, very told and strong legs and so on. I don't know if she makes rain or not, but there's a lady on one of these tenebrous episodes of robbery to banks in Caixas de Deposits, dependency of our country, not far away, as I gave the account. And I said to me, I suppose she was from Sudan. I said, I think she perhaps her. And apparently she was here like a refugee, regulating her papers, basic papers, to allow her to live here. But I have this feeling that your hypocrisy, your tenebra Nazi hypocrisy of mirrors concerning disgraces of peoples, if it's true the case on Sudan. If have people who don't have water, they will die. Goes until this point, ladies and gentlemen. In the rear windows, display interrupt for 20 years. Upgrade version I of the Hitchcock. I have people for 2 weeks that grow new plants on plastic bottles of 5 liters of water. As a practical representation of what? Of your hypocrisy Nazi, of tortures and murders. Because this corresponds to the truth, even here in Portugal, Europe, civilized and whatever, full of people with knowledge and studies, in high schools and so on. No one speaks straight about the facts that I know by directly contact here concerning problems, eventual problems of health, public health and water. And I'm not living in Sudan. Years to Berlin after the Second World War, this air bridge had solved the problem of 1 million persons, if I remember well, was the number of Berlin inhabitants at that time. 1 million. And Egypt has developed as country by irrigation because you have 3 main rivers, if I remember well. There's a fount. Must be always a fount. If there's no fount, there's no solution. And in these real mirrors of slavery and extermination here, it seems for me that extermination is really become a reality of high scale and high impact in some places of the world for a large amount of people. I suppose perhaps it's fair to say that extermination is already run in large scale. I don't know, I cannot even evaluate this at distance. It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. I go sleep. I did sleep bad yesterday again. I don't know, for 3 or 4 days. My rhythms is changed. The ugliness of ladies and this ability that leads up bands to speak, I suppose, by the ugliness of ladies. Truckings are crazy, my love. It's what I can say to you. Each time more crazy, I suppose. The problem, they are not truckings, they are abstrusos forçados de terráqueos, se calhar. Terrible, terrible. Sai do beauty. Vi uma rapariga a vestir um kimono. Roupa um kimono, não sei. Eu vi vestir aquilo já sobre as pijama, não sei. Não percebi, mas era bonito, as cores e os desenhos. E a rapariga também, me uma vontade de despir. Sabe? São as coisas boas da vida, acho eu. Ou é não? Poderei ouvir dizer isto a alguém que vive no Sudão sem água? Não. Alguém que vive sem água não vive. Está à espera da morte, não morre. Ou já está morto, não é? Como que se passava no tempo da Segunda Guerra Mundial, não é? Que leva a rapariga de avião e depois tem um acidente. Então a rapariga parte não sei o que, não a pode transportar. E deixa numa caverna e vai pedir auxílio, mas aquilo está na guerra com os nazis e não sei o quê. Apanham-no, acusam-no de espionagem e ele é preso e não sei o quê, e torturado e tá. E quando finalmente consegue lá voltar, ela já está morta. Não conseguiu chegar a tempo, está vendo? Lembra-se desse filme? In the 18th century, if I remember well, it's done a monumental work here in Portugal at that time to transport water for the city of Lisbon, public water, that finish on a tank with a robinet, and people goes there, humans goes there, and take it, vases for their home. This is the 18th century, if I remember well. We have a cubic stone, which is the mother of waters in Amoreiras, which is the garden where we have trees of laranjeiras, flores de laranjeira, that allows to nourish the small bichinhos de conta. It's a very important activity for all childs to take care about them because they learn about the mystery of life and death. People's childs who have this chance to be teach on this way, com os bichinhos de seda, que dá also to do these beautiful dresses, to undress ladies after. But nevertheless, it's a teaching, and this is in the same place. The mother of water is a cubic stone, which is a term on the table for many years by these questions of tsunamis, and it's called aqueduto, because there are ponds, elevated levels, and free waters. O aqueduto das águas livres. It was coined the name in this way. We still have the places, some places, public places, but they do not work for many decades, I suppose. I do not even know if the alimentation pipes works or not. I suppose not, perhaps just by the lack of manutention. But we still have some of them here in Lisbon, but they do not work, and people carry water after to their homes in the 18th century. And it was an innovation. It was a colossal work. It's the problem of dragons, Now, if we count this illusion, shadows have a play all around. We are entangled of COVID, a war here or there, whatever, for decades, all right? When people are living on this mystification of reality all around the world, apparently we are all interconnected. And we know everything in the other side of the world, as we cannot know, but we don't know nothing in precisely terms, objective terms, foresight. And by the other side, we are all entangled on these fantasies. People do not even the mind to solve what you need to solve. This is a level of devil stress all around, every second. Do not have the peace to think it well and have the conditions of calm to solve properly whatever it's done with. So, with fantasy, because these are not information available, in the sense the information available is genuine, authentic, is consonant with the reality, we understand, and we can work. This is not what happens. If we don't have information honest, genuine, and correspond to the reality, we are all lost, because we don't have solutions for psychodramas, global psychodramas like these, with these contents.